Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Bakasuri. Today we're going to overview one of my favorite fishing types, especially for the late afternoons and evenings around new moon, which is micro, also known as Japanese as Ajing. So for reference, Ajing in Japanese means horse mackerel, which is a popular fish in the Ajing style that you catch a lot of. But Ajing can be used for a lot of different target fish, such as sea bass, mackerel, which it's designed for, rockfish, any other small game. So this style of fishing has gained a lot of popularity in the last 10 to 15 years, especially here in Japan and Korea and other East Asia countries. It's probably one of the top markets out there. The reason it's gained so much popularity is the majority of the fishing is done on soft plastics or micro jigs. With the advancement of technology with plastics and the ability to make smaller and more detailed molds, Ajing or micro jigging has become extremely popular at a great budget price. So to go through a brief history of this type of fishing, especially in the late 80s into the 90s, this became quite a style of fishing here in Asia. It's really exploded in the 2000s, 2010s, and now into the 2020s as being one of the top 3 markets of fishing here in Japan, behind egging, which is for squid, and then obviously for tuna, whichever market you're trying to do there, poppers, jigging, metal jigs, you name it. One of the main reasons that this market has exploded is because the price point, the availability, and the amount of coastline in Japan that you can do this from really makes it super easy. And especially if you want to just spend a day on the pier with your kids, this is a great way to go about it. I can personally say that I've taken up this style of fishing in the last few months. I mostly got it from the elderly men that are in my area, and I noticed that they're always doing it, pulling in, I wouldn't say a large amount, but a decent amount of small fish. And they take them home and they grill them on the personal ovens that are built into their apartments or houses. And then I came to realize that, oh wow, there's an entire market here in Japan based on this style of fishing, because horse mackerel is such an abundancy here, and it's a bait fish that draws in larger game. So why wouldn't the companies go after this style of fishing to go toward the market where any angler from the age of 5 to 90 years old can basically do this? It's not a hard practice to pick up. So as we move into this episode, let's go over the basics of what this type of fishing actually is. As you can tell in this video above, this is a pretty easy practice. It's specifically targeted for late afternoons, evenings, or early mornings, as that's when your horse mackerel, Ajing, are going to come in closer to piers. They're drawn in by light sources. Now you can go to some of the marketplaces, fishing stores, or even hardware stores, and they specifically sell lights to pull in Ajing. It's kind of crazy. The lights can fare from anywhere from 75 to 150 US dollars. So right now with the exchange rate reaching 150, you're talking 30,000 yen for a light like that. I don't use anything like that. I just rely on the natural light sources on the piers, and most of the time I just go in the late afternoon when I have some time to kill. So to get in the scientific mumbo jumbo, or whatever you're going to call it, Ajing style fishing is used with a very light, high quality graphite rods. A lot of them are made by your upper chain tiers, and then actually a lot of small companies make the rods and only make rods for Ajing fishing. I personally here use a Daiwa rod. I got it on sale. It does a job. It's fun to do. You want to use a 1 to 2,000 fishing reel. I use a 2,500 because I can use it on other types of fishing. And then I can take the line off and rebraid it for whatever style I'm going for. As far as fishing lines, most anglers are going to use monofilament or fluoro for their leaders. You're not going to go over 12-pound test on this. You're going super light. I go 8 just because some of the areas that I tend to go for have a very rocky or clam covered area on the bottom, and I'm not trying to get snagged. If I get snagged, whoop-de-doo, because your jigs are costing you maybe 10-15 cents. I'm talking really reasonable prices here. Now, as far as your jigs, we're talking ultralight jig heads from 0.5 to 8 grams. My rod is rated for 8 grams, so if I go heavier than that, I have a really cautious area that I could break my rod at 8 grams. It's kind of crazy. Now, as far as your baits, we're talking micro soft baits or micro jigs, metals. Most of the time I'm using my micro soft baits. The reason for this is I'm having a jig head of 1 to 3 ounces and then my microplastic on there because you're trying to imitate plankton. This is what most of these styles of fish are going after. Your enemy in Ajing fishing is 1, wind, 2, strong currents, and 3, sound. Take those into high consideration when you go fishing, especially in this style, because you're not able to cast your micro lures, keep your micro lure in the target area, and 3, spook the fish. This is a very slow-paced but rewarding style. So let's get into how to actually Ajing fish. As you can tell in the video above, what you're going to do is you're going to take your lure, you're going to cast it out as far as possible, and this is where the magic happens. You are going to try and float it towards the bottom as slow as possible. I like to personally jerk it once or twice as it's floating down, trying to imitate something that's dying or something that's in, some type of flee or fight area. Remember, this is supposed to be some type of a worm, insect, or plankton. And you're going to know where your target fish are because they collect in a large school and make a lot of attention towards the surface of the water, or you really have to keep an eye out and you're going to see them. The other way to do this is to take a heavier weight, talking 5 grams here, we're not going crazy. You're going to sink it towards the bottom and you're going to have a lighter weight on your jig. So it's going to almost float your jig away from the bottom, because when it isn't dark out, they're going to take shelter towards the bottom away from some of the bigger target fish that are up above. And as that lure comes closer to the bottom and you're slowly retrieving that in, you are going to get a hit. Almost 9 out of 10 times when I do that in these type of areas, near docks, piers, very quiet inlets with not a lot of flow, not a lot of wind, I'm just picking them up left and right. Now, I just want to give a shout out to some of the better companies that are not really advertised in the States as far as I can tell. One of them is Sunline. Sunline makes some of the best lines out there for this in ISO fishing. So if you can get a hold, if this is something you're actually really interested in, Sunline is one of the better ones that I would recommend. The other 2 companies I wanted to give a shout out to was 34 and Tailwalk. 34 makes great boxes, rods, lures, jig heads, you name it. And Tailwalk, they make some great rods out there. I use a lot of their products when I do this style of fishing. Can't recommend them enough. If this is a style of fishing that you're possibly getting into it, I would do some more research on it. I'll leave some links in the bio below, but I really recommend this fishing. It's super fun, slow paced. It's a way to kind of relax. This is the way I kind of get my mental health back into shape, and I just enjoy nature, enjoy the sunrise, enjoy that sunset, and get out on the water and have some fun. Be safe. Alright guys, thank you for watching this week's episode. I hope to see you again, and let's get back out on the water. Alright, later.